My latest book came right on time, March 1st. And what a march! I do not mean the march of martyrs on that sad St. Patrick's Day, when they marched our mothers to be garroted in a green, white cedar tree, and our men to the edge of exile, to an unknown destiny. I don't mean that march of drunken celebration of inhumanity, or that march when rule Britannia gave free reins to the plantocrats of Montserrat to make sugar out of bloody misery, to sweeten the motherland and enrich its cruel tea. It is not even the march when ancestral blood cried out from the ground for recognition, and we promptly filed a just petition to the government of John Osborne. No, it is the march of sweaty arguments as to who granted us the holiday, whether it was Paddy's kindness or Codger's children for the slave. It is about fealty to color, black, white, green, and shifty pigments in between. What a march! It is about inventing history on the spot. Who is Irish, who is not? Where to place the playpen for diasporic Montserratians and their spending friends, whether at the Salem Park of Peace or Little Bay on Bacchanal Street. It is about the politics of Jumbie dance, modes of worship, modes of play, and ancestral remembrance. It is about smart Alex blaming Howard Fergus for their lack of reading, crass loving their voice, lacking breeding. We get hot on our bottoms, but love still lurketh in our bosom. What a march! Montserrat strike gold at last. Are we Christmas come in March? Writing, to be realistic with you, it's really almost like a disease. It's a pathology. It's difficult to get it out of your system, because already I'm thinking of a book in which I publish the works of a number of poets, let's say 8 Montserratian poets, 10 Montserratian poets, because I'm not about just promoting myself. I'll be gone after a while, and I'm promoting and developing a Montserratian literature. So if I can take the works of a number of poets, the Anne-Marie Joes, the Archie Markhams, the Edgar White, and so on, the Chanel Roach, and publish them, the Chad Cumberbatch, I believe that I'd be doing a useful thing. And I ought to know that some 40 years ago we began to sing the heroes of St. Patrick's Day, who showed Montserratians how to bleed for freedom one red day in 1768. So what an excellent way for me to celebrate them than to release a book about their celebration, hoping that Miriam's timbrel and the drumming never stop. From north to south, in a graceful Montserrat, proud of golden moments of their history, in spite of the stubborn trappings of sordid slavery. What a way to remember those teachers, and the children who remembered them, instructing us to know our past, like Edith Allen, Mary Griffin, and Joy Nanton, who first taught us to celebrate Christmas in the month of March. They caught the imagination of a thankful people who looked beyond the bacchanal and transformed a significant event of their history into a continuing festival. That's the point.
The order of excellence, and it's really very gratifying. Notwithstanding, I have other awards because this was indigenous and coming from Montserrat, and it was determined by Montserratians. I think it is particularly gratifying and special.
And of course, you help them every year with the citation. How do you find that process?
Well, I think that should have been kept a secret, really. I don't think that should have been put out in the public domain. But in fact, it is more work than it seems on the surface. You not only have to carry out the research, but you have to be able to summarize it and at the same time pinpoint the essential features of the person's contribution and try to detect the all-round contribution. For instance, if it's in cricket, you look also for other contribution to the community, because contribution to civil society, in my mind, is particularly important.
And that is why we need to acknowledge that you're the guy behind all of this, because it's a big job and you do it so well. You have this wealth of knowledge, and we're glad to have you, Sir Howard.
Yeah, well, the flattery sounds good, but
because the word scientist means knowledge, means to know, someone who knows from the Latin word skill. Knows. So I'm playing on the word there. And the other thing is celebrating the scientists who are very prominent in our lives. We depended on the scientists for direction and survival. So after all of that talk, scientists know. Things came to a head about Sucre yesterday, and it ashed again like a plague of dandruff, dirt in your clothes. The capital grew dark with shades of doomsday at midday. You heard rocks crying to the mountains for mercy, and people are scratching their heads. Will the scientists know? Will the scientists ever know? For a small island breed, this volcano is acting very independent, doesn't want to heed technical advice from UWI or follow British protocol for aid, just in a hurry to blow its top like a hot butter man. It ashed again yesterday like a plague of dandruff, with people scratching their heads. But scientists know. I trust that the scientists know. Thank you. People's work are being recognized, and it's not just the Howard Fergus or the Premier or whoever. It's the society and its maintenance and building up and the culture and the life. It's not only for the great Calypsonians and so on, not even just for Bramble, who was such an important icon, William Bramble. It makes other people hopefully aspire and let them know that their work is being recognized. And people, we don't work for rewards. We work with honor and not for honor. But yet, I think it does something it gives a lift to the society.
Dr. Fergus, this book, like I think the last few have mentioned in part, and I think you do give a section to this, mortality and your mortality. Talk to us about that.
Yes, in fact.
Do you find that you're overly thinking about it at this time?
Yeah, I think I get chided for that by some of my readers. But, it's almost natural. There's a section in the book called A Day at a Time. And the time comes when you must take it a day at a time. The distant scene. I don't want necessarily to see the distant scene, a step at a time. And do what you can at a time. You don't know when. So you do what you can and try to fulfill your destiny. But you know that the sun will set at some stage. But still, until the sun sets, you occupy. And my occupation at the moment is writing. And that's why I would perhaps maybe write a poem a day.
It's beautiful.
You drive out and you see, I sometimes call them hedgehog, but they are not. Those little
Agoutis.
They are agoutis. And it gives you a point. Mm-hmm. So people need to know that all around them is important. I think Wordsworth was something like that. Write about every flower and so on, this little flower that blows. Yeah. So I write about my avocados and the birds that, like terrorists, that attack them prematurely in the bud, in the blossom. Anything. Okay. Ruminating on that intriguing story of Jacob's appropriation of Esau's blessing, the older brother, I wonder, am I basking in the inheritance of another? In other words, am I benefiting from intrigue myself? Gibmai was the youngest of the Fergus brood, but ended up in academies and with preferences, catapulting me to some level of honor and influence. And the Jacob story did not end with him. He favored younger Joseph above his older brothers, gifting him with that offending coat of colors. Even on his deathbed, he blessed grandson Ephraim above Manasseh, contrary to custom and expectation, pleading special knowledge and insight for the elevation, making stories over 3 generations seemingly of deceit and favoritism from a human point of view, ignorant as we often are about what God is really up to. As human instruments, we often mess the process up, but God is ever perfect in determining his will and need not answer to anyone, however it is fulfilled. So I humbly thank him for the gifts I still enjoy, grateful that my sibling Somi has no pompous upstart, but another family member empowered to play my part. The Jacob family story is ever an intriguing one of unfairness, deceit, and injustice on the surface, but ultimately fulfilling some divine righteousness. Thank you.
Well, in fact, I don't want to put a number on it, but I really feel that my greatest legacy to Montserrat would be my writings. And I somehow feel that after I'm dead, that some people will find more value in them.